All right, guys, today we are going to be working in our history packets on some worksheets that we normally would have done in class during this geography unit together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you where they're located, and then today I'm going to do a couple of them, and you just follow along, and then I'll post the answer keys within the pod so you can double check in case it's not clear on your on the video. And then I'll finish the rest tomorrow. And so where you're looking in the packet is if you turn past all the physical features, past the study questions, which we'll get to later, all right, we start with a page that looks like this, 3 different map projections. Now, there's nothing we need to fill out here. It's just these are just for reference. These are some of the maps we have looked at so far, the types of maps. The Robinson one is unfortunately missing, but these show how those maps, how they got that image, why it looks like that. Okay, if you turn to the back of that, there's a page called Reading Maps, and that's the first one we're going to do. And today we're going to do reading maps and elevation maps, and then tomorrow we'll do the other 3 that are in there. The launch coordinates, climate as a latitude as a climate indicator, and United States time zone. So we'll do those in the next pod. So let's start with reading maps. And for this, you'll need a pencil, and you'll either need, I would recommend colored pencils or crayons. I would not recommend markers because it'll bleed through, and these are double-sided. So the colors you will need are, let me grab them. You'll need green. You will need red. You will need, let me see if I can find any others. Blue. Is that blue? That's cerulean. Oh, that's fancy. I'll just dump this out. There we go. Blue. And I think that's it. Okay. So looking at this, the first one, so let's look at just the directions. Below is a map showing different countries. This is a made-up country. Okay. Find out all about the map by answering the questions. Use the legend, which explains the symbols. So at the top of the page, we have a legend, and it says the line, it's like a dash and then a dot and a dash and a dot. Those are borders for the different countries. We have mountains, which look like little pictures of mountains. We have rivers. We have a couple different lakes, fish, and crocodiles, okay? And it says to scale, it is 1 inch equals 100 miles. So we'll also need, let me grab one, we need a ruler. All right, so make sure you have a ruler handy or something to accurately measure with. All right, so let's just start on our first question. It says, color the river blue. All right, so there's our river going right through it, so I'm going to color that blue. All right, color that blue. It's not going to be perfect because I'm in a little bit of a rush. You can make it look better than I can. I'm going to try to stay in the lines, but it's been a while since I've been in grammar school, so I'm out of practice. So Mrs. Dietzen has coloring books at home, like adult coloring books where it's like really, really intricate and fancy. She likes doing those on like road trips and stuff, but I have not done that as much. So maybe she would be better doing this than me. All right. How many countries does it flow through after it leaves the mountains? Well, it goes through Satal, goes through Rint, and it goes through Marlow. So our answer is 3. Which country might be called the land of the lakes? Well, there's no lakes in most of these. The only place, if we look at the legend, that has lakes is Satal. And again, I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it. These are made-up countries. Color all the mountains green. Okay, well, there's some in Rint. I'm going to leave the snowy caps white because I've never seen green snow. I've seen dirty brown snow. I've seen yellow snow. You're supposed to avoid that. It's not lemon flavored. I didn't taste it, but I knew that I wasn't supposed to. Just to clarify. Growing up in Michigan, we had snow all the time. But I'm going to leave these snowy caps white, and I will just color the bottom portion green. When I lived in Colorado for a while, we lived right by the mountains, and we actually took the 6th graders on a field trip to Rocky Mountain National Park. It was it was an overnight field trip. It was 3 days long, and we stayed at the YMCA there. And we went hiking up the mountains, and it was kind of near Pikes Peak. It was really cool. All right, so I've colored the mountains green. Which country has no mountains? All right, so the only country that doesn't have any mountains is Eski or Isk. Okay, so this is what we got so far. Some green mountains, our first three answers. And again, I'll be scanning this in and including it in the pod so you can see it better. Is Eski larger than Sital? Oh, I missed one. We need a yellow as well. Is this yellow? This is dandelion. This is yellow. There we go. My favorite color growing up, and I used it for everything, was the color macaroni and cheese, which is like a orangish yellow color. And I had a Batman coloring book, and I'd always color it in. Batman would always be bright orange, which defeats the purpose because he's supposed to be like stealthy and stuff. But I would be more frightened if a man dressed as a giant bat in a bright orange costume came and, in the middle of the night. I feel like that would be more frightening. Okay, so is Eski larger? We got sidetracked, and as you'll see once we get more into class, that happens sometimes. Is Eski larger than Setal? Definitely not. No. Color them in yellow and then write your answer. Okay, so I'm going to color them in yellow. So Eski is yellow. It says them, so both of them. So I'm going to have to color in Setal, but I need to be mindful of the river and the mountains and the lakes. I'm sure everyone's just enjoying seeing the glare coming off my bald head as we're watching this. I'm only allowed to make jokes about my hairline. You are not. Just so you know. All right. I'm getting there. Setal is rather big. Okay. Okay, there we go. Nice and yellow. It's not snow, though, like we were talking about. Okay. Color in red the country which has no beaches because it has no coastline. All right, so I got my red. It's in Spanish and I think maybe French as well. That's kind of fancy. I don't speak either of those languages, so I'm not going to attempt. All right, Peel is in the middle. I would hate to come from a country named Peel. That'd be an odd name. I don't know. The rest of these sound just like, interesting foreign names. And that one's just like, hey, when you want to eat a clementine or an orange or something, you got to peel it. So that's where I live. All right, so color it red because it has no coastline. That's known as being landlocked, if you've ever heard that. So we have like landlocked states like Oklahoma and, a lot of the states north of us and Nebraska and Kansas and all of them. They don't have any coastline. They're in the middle of the United States. Which country has fish near its coast? That's Dipalia. Right, that is fish off to the side. In which country would walking near the river be dangerous? That would be in Marlow because there are crocodiles, and if the legend was to the scale of this, if 1 inch is 100 miles, then those alligators are 100 miles long. So giant alligators, I would not want to live there. I don't think they're to scale. But they only have 3 alligators, it shows, so I don't know if crocodiles, excuse me, I got them wrong, there's a difference. And if we're able to go to the zoo on our field trip this year, we will be able to see that. But if there's only 3, then maybe you could avoid them, but if they're 100 miles long, then no. Which country has the longest name? Oh, that would be Dipalia. It is 7 letters long. How far is it from Marlow's Mountains to Rint's Mountains? All right, so Marlow, Rint. I'm going to try and just center it up. It looks from the edge of one mountain to the edge of the other, it's about, give or take, it's about 2 inches. So 2 times 100, it's about 200 miles. They didn't specify if we were measuring it from the center or from the edge or whatever, so I'm ballparking it. Which country would you like to live in? Well, that I'm going to leave up to y'all. That is your own personal choice. For me personally, I would either say Setal because it has lots of lakes and mountains and rivers. It has almost everything. But I also really like fishing, so I'm going to pick Dipalia. but you can choose wherever. You'd be like, I want to live in Peel because I hate water. I want to live in Esky because it has a nice coastline and no mountains. I want to live in Marlow because I want to wrangle these 100-mile long crocodiles. I don't know. So we're going to write a complete sentence. So I would like to live there because I enjoy fishing. All right. So that is our first worksheet for today. So again, I will scan this in so we get a clear image in the pod. All right, next, elevation maps. This is for specifically for Texas. Okay. A landform map is sometimes called an elevation map. An elevation map shows the elevation or height of the land surface. Study the elevation scale on the map below. It shows the elevation in feet and meters. The scale begins at 0 feet, which is also called sea level. The map below uses scattered dots to show elevation from 0 to 250. Notice these dots along the coastal plain of Texas. A crisscross pattern is used to show elevation from 2,000 to 5,000 feet. Much of West Texas shows this pattern. Elevations above 5,000 feet are shown with dark vertical lines. Other patterns are used to show the other elevation ranges. All right, so it seems if we start, in the Gulf of Mexico area, that is kind of our lowest region, and as we move north and west, it gets higher, right? We go from 0 to 250. It looks like maybe like around Corpus Christi, there's a little sliver that's at or below sea level. But then as we go, we have 0 to 250, and then we move into another region, 250 to 500, then 500 to 2,000, and then from there, 2,000 to 5,000. So the highest part of Texas are located in the highest parts of Texas are located in what part of the state? Well, that's in the western portion, right? We could even say the northwest. We could say in the panhandle if we're being specific. Well, it looks like there's even higher elevations out in like near El Paso. There's some mountains in there. The lowest parts of Texas are located in what part of the state? In the southeast portion near like Houston and Corpus Christi and stuff over in the Gulf. Is Lubbock at a higher or lower elevation than Corpus Christi? Well, Corpus Christi is at our lowest available level, whereas Lubbock is at the second highest one. So it is higher. What is the elevation range of the area around Amarillo? All right, so that elevation range, they said the crisscross pattern is 2,000 to 5,000 feet. Okay, so it's almost a mile high. So there we go. That is this worksheet. This one is a little bit shorter, but there we go. Those are our worksheets for today. Again, I'll scan those in and include those in the pod. So make sure you have those filled out within your packet.